Players across Gielinor are reporting a sudden increase in confidence after today's gauntlet changes. Experts say the confidence should disappear approximately 43 seconds into the Hunlet fight. Good evening, adventurers. I'm Wise Old Noob, and this is GNN, the Gielinor News Network, where the news is mostly accurate, probably. Tonight's broadcast is a little different. That's because this is the special Jagex has been busy cleaning up Gielinor. We've got a brand new player-designed island on the horizon, major PVM changes, and some quality-of-life updates. So let's get straight into tonight's top stories. Wyrmscraig arrives on July 29th, our first major story tonight. After more than 1,400 player submissions, months of development, in which almost certainly an unhealthy amount of sailing training, Wyrmscraig officially launches on July 29th. This marks Old School RuneScape's first ever player-designed island, created alongside community member Gnome. The quest requires 62 sailing, 60 crafting, 47 rune crafting, and 53 mining. So if you're not a 62 sailing yet, you've got until July 29th, and don't worry, Jay's had a lot longer to get his fire cape. The story follows a series of mysterious disappearances surrounding a terrifying figure known only as the Mad Angel. GNN has reached out for comment. They declined. The update also introduces Mortimer, the first new Slayer Master in roughly 7 years. A repeatable boss with a chance at the new two-handed sword, Hollowfell, and new activities including golem crafting and goat hunting. Yes, goat hunting. Gauntlet Prep gets a major cleanup. And while Wyrmscraig is preparing to welcome adventurers on July 29th, Jagex is already busy sweeping up some of the mess around Gielinor. Our next story comes from the Gauntlet, where Jagex has apparently decided players should spend less time running around collecting supplies and more time running around trying not to die. The latest changes are designed to make Gauntlet preparation more consistent and hopefully a little less frustrating. Starting today, there are now 4 guaranteed demi-boss locations inside the Gauntlet. One at the northernmost, easternmost, southernmost, and westernmost rooms from the center. The locations are guaranteed, but the actual demi-boss you encounter is still random, because apparently, Jagex wants to help you, just not that much. Demi-boss attacks range has also been reduced from 16 tiles to 10. Regular enemies have also received standardized defensive stats, meaning there's no longer a reason to specifically hunt down one monster over another. Congratulations, you can now be attacked from slightly less of the map. And perhaps one of the biggest prep improvements, the first low-tier NPC kill will now guarantee a weapon frame. Finally, something guaranteed. You'll still need to make the weapon, of course, but at least you won't have to spend the beginning of every run wondering if you're going to find the frame you need. Crystal shards are also getting some quality of life improvements. They're now automatically placed into your inventory, and enemy drops will be more consistent. Tier 1 weapons now require zero crystal shots. Tortugas. Saber type Tortugas. Moving on to PVM. Phantom Muspa and Demonic Gorillas are both getting a little more predictable. Muspas will now wait until you've dealt damage 4 times before swapping forms, and its homing spikes attacks have been reduced from 50 ticks to 34. The attack will also end early when Muspas enters the blue shield form. Demonic Gorillas will also wait until you've dealt damage 4 times, and at least 70 damage with a combat style before changing prayers. So if you ever felt like the gorilla was changing prayers specifically to ruin your day, well, still might be. Can't do anything about it. Before we move on, we have one more story from right here in the Wise Old Noob community. The first ever Gielinor Gauntlet has officially come to a close. Contestants battled through a series of challenges. Friendships, they were tested. And at least one person probably questioned why they ever agreed to this. But in the end, there could only be one champion. Congratulations to Hugh Daddy, the very first Gielinor Gauntlet champion. Hugh Daddy survived the gauntlet and earned the title, but the crown won't be safe for long. Season 2 is already in the works, And let's just say, we've learned a few things. The challenge will be bigger. The competition will be tougher. And this time, we're bringing fire? We brought fire the first. We're bringing fire. More details on Season 2 coming soon. But before we let our first champion go, we caught up with Hugh Daddy to get his thoughts on surviving the first gauntlet. Hugh Daddy, congratulations on becoming the first ever Gielinor Gauntlet champion.
Thank you. It's quite an honor. One of my biggest accomplishments I've ever had in my entire life.
Looking back at the gauntlet, what was one challenge you thought you might be struggling with? What was one challenge you thought might be a downfall for you?
Yeah, so when we split off after our group one, it was the first two to pass. We had to get the scrolls, and I had no idea what the heck you were talking about with the scroll. I wikied it, and the first thing I saw was Barbarian, so I went straight to Barbarian Village, and that's where I saw 4 other people, actually, just farming Barbarians. We were trying to get the drop. Little did I know, and what you intended was to just speak to someone, but I went, I think, probably the hardest way possible and got a 1 in 100-something drop and 50 kills. And especially whenever 2 of the yellow team also came over. That wasn't ideal, but I learned that there was still a spot for me, so I was able to sneak in there.
And now that you've survived Season 1, do you think you've got what it takes to defend that title in Season 2?
Yeah, I mean, if the Fire Gods still keep looking upon me, I don't see why not. We'll just have to see what's in store for the next few seasons, but I think I got what it takes.
Hey, well, there you have it. The first Gielinor Gauntlet champion has spoken. We'll see if Hugh Daddy can survive the next one. And speaking of surviving impossible challenges, it's time to hear from the people of Gielinor. Today we have SG Matt C here. Thanks for joining us, Matt. Today's update has made some pretty significant changes to the Gauntlet. What's your take on the changes?
When you look at it, the last time the Gauntlet got a major overhaul this big was 6 years ago. The content's 7 years old, but the last major update was 6 years ago. Changing up the way that we approach the Hunyup is really important, especially for when we're going for drops and efficiency, as well as that ticking time meter that takes you through the Gauntlet itself. In the early stages of the Gauntlet, a lot of players faced issues with pacing, the randomization of the rooms, the layouts, looking for the right materials, looking for the right bosses to get those weapon frames, getting that gear crafted in time as you have that ever-looming minute counter going down. Making the crafting materials stackable is really huge as well, because you're able to go multitask in a sense that where before you'd have to stack them up, craft them on the spot because of the physical inventory slots. Now you're able to gather them all up as soon as you get them, travel on to the next point, which cuts essentially 30, 45 seconds even off your total prep time, right? Because you're going to be making potions, you're going to be making the cooked fish, you're going to be crafting the gear, everything you want to give yourself that extra time inside of the Hunyup encounter. As for the other changes, again, placing bosses in a standard location is a good thing, even though they're still random, you know they're there. As well as changing the defensive stats on the non-demi bosses. You're no longer skipping bosses in order to get more efficiency. You're able to just clear it at your own pace. Faster kills means more loot, more fun, and it's overall just a good thing.
Absolutely. Interesting. And what do you think this means for the future of PVM?
Well, I think Jagex is starting to take steps in the right direction. The game being as old as it is, there's tons of content that's long overdue these, even if minor overhauls. Older content has not aged well into the modern generation of RuneScape, especially old school RuneScape. I think what this means for PVM is a return to some of these older bosses, maybe the God Wars, maybe even the Fight Caves, where we start to introduce some changes into what we can do in 2026. And I think it's an indication that the company's head is in the right place for the future of the game.
Well, there you have it. The voice of Gielinor has spoken.
Oh, hey, did you hear? Jay still doesn't have his fire cave.
Thank you for your time. Skatizo is also getting a smaller arena, and destroyed totems won't respawn for another minute. Meanwhile, the Ice Demon's Demon Bane vulnerability has increased from 100% to 115%. Great news. Unless you're the Ice Demon, in which case, terrible news. And finally, a few quality of life changes. Autocast settings will now be preserved through death. One less thing to worry about after you die. Jay's fire cape, however, remains missing. And perhaps the one most requested change, looting your gravestone will now automatically sort your inventory back to the layout you had before you died. Because nothing says welcome back to life like spending the next 30 seconds trying to figure out where your sharks went. And that's all the news we have for you tonight. From a brand new player-designed island to a major summer sweep-up across Gielinor, there's certainly a lot to look forward to. Whether these changes actually make you better at the game, well, that's between you and your one-tick timing. I'm Wise Old Noob. Stay wise, stay newbie.
Jay is always getting whooped by Jad.